3. The Oath and Society. The third and ninth commandments are closely related. The third declares, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain." Exodus 20, verse 7. The ninth states, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor." Exodus 20, verse 16. Both commandments are concerned with speech. The one has reference to God, the other to man. Moreover, Ingram is right in seeing the legal reference of both. The third in particular is normally seen, as Ingram states, quote, "as a sort of good-mannered objection to coarse or vulgar language, whereas it is a prohibition against perjury, heresy, and lying." End quote. We have already seen the implications of swearing as obscenity. The law covers this and more. But the heart of the third commandment is in its nature as the foundation of a legal system. Citing Ingram again, quote, "The foundation for all legal procedure involving so-called civil disputes is clearly in the third commandment, and it would certainly carry over its importance into the realm of criminal law." End quote. The oath of office, the trustworthiness of witnesses, the stability of a society in terms of a common regard for truth, the faithfulness of the clergy to their ordination vows, of wives and husbands to their marital vows, and much more, all hinge on the holiness of the oath or vow. Where there is no regard for truth, when men can subscribe to oaths and vows with no intention of abiding by their terms, then social anarchy and degeneration ensue. Where there is no fear of God, then the sanctity of oaths and vows disappears, and men shift the foundations of society from the truth to a lie. It is significant that prosecutions for perjury are today almost unheard of, although perjury is a daily routine in the courts. But as Ingram points out, God's law makes clear in the third commandment, quote, "that whatever man may do in this regard, God will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain." End quote. The presidential oath of office, and every other oath of office in the United States, was in earlier years recognized precisely as coming under the third commandment, and in fact invoking it. By taking the oath, a man promised to abide by his word and his obligations, even as God is faithful to his word. If he failed by his oath of office, the public official invoked divine judgment and the curse of the law upon himself. Although, even in the face of this, corrupt officeholders were not lacking, it is also clear that a large measure of real political responsibility was in evidence. Godly men took oaths seriously. George Washington, whose belief in a compulsory tithe we previously noted, felt very strongly about the meaning of the oath. In his farewell address, he expressed his dismay over skepticism, agnosticism, deism, and atheism creeping in from France and the French Revolution. Unbelief worked, he saw, great damage. Among other things, by destroying the faith behind the oath, unbelief undercut the security of society. He declared, quote, "Of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. In vain would that man claim the tribute of patriotism who should labor to subvert these great pillars of human happiness, these firmest props of the duties of men and citizens. The mere politician, equally with the pious man, ought to respect and cherish them. A volume could not trace all their connections with private and public felicity. Let it simply be asked, where is the security for property, for reputation, for life, if the sense of religious obligation desert the oaths, which are the instruments of investigation in courts of justice? And let us with caution indulge the supposition that morality can be maintained without religion. Whatever may be conceded to the influence of refined education on minds of peculiar structure, reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principle." End quote. To despise, abuse, or profane the oath is therefore an offense which denies the validity of all law and order, of all courts and offices, and it is an act of anarchy and revolution. In terms of this, we can better understand Leviticus 24:10-16, the incident of blasphemy and the death sentence meted out. The offending party in this case was half Danite and half Egyptian. The Hebrew text assumes a knowledge which has since been largely forgotten. The ancient Chaldee version paraphrases as follows: "And while the Israelites were dwelling in the wilderness, he sought to pitch his tent in the midst of the tribe of the children of Dan. But they would not let him, because according to the order of Israel, every man, according to his order, dwelt with his family by the ensign of his father's house. And they strove together in the camp. Whereupon the son of the Israelitish woman and the man of Israel, who was of the tribe of Dan, went into the house of judgment. The judgment was against the half Danite, half Egyptian, and his reaction was that he blasphemed the name of the Lord and cursed." Leviticus 24:11. He denied the entire structure of Israelite society and law, the very principle of order. As a result, the sentence of death was passed for blasphemy. His offense was, in effect, that he affirmed total revolution, absolute secession from any society which denied him his wishes. No society can long exist which permits such subversion. God's law in this case is of particular importance. "Whosoever curseth his God shall bear his sin, and he that blasphemeth the name of the Lord, he shall surely be put to death." Leviticus 24:15-16. Any and all Gentiles who despised or violated the oath of their religion were subject to the laws of their religion, to whatever penalties their law imposed for such blasphemy or cursing. For to despise the oath of one's faith is to curse his God. Ginsburg summarized the law here ably. Quote, "If such a Gentile curses his own God in whom he still professes to believe, he shall bear his sin. He must suffer the punishment for his sin from the hands of his co-religionists, whose feelings he has outraged. The Israelites are not to interfere to save him from the consequences of his guilt. For a heathen who reviles the God in whom he believes is not to be trusted in other respects, and sets a bad example to others, who might be led to imitate his conduct." End quote. There is a point of very great significance in this legislation, one which requires particular attention. First, we must note that the modern mind sees quote-unquote good in all religions, supposedly, while denying them in favor of the autonomous mind of man. To deny Christianity and its exclusive truth, the modern mind professes to find truth in all religions. The Bible, however, has no such tolerance towards a lie. The psalmist summed up the matter: "For all the gods of the nation are idols, but the Lord made the heavens." Psalm 96, verse 5. Without any qualification, all other religions are condemned by the Bible. The modern mind, while fully religious, is not institutionally religious, and so it can offer contemptuous toleration to all religions. But the modern mind is politically religious. That is, it regards the political order as its ultimate and religious order, and this leads us to a second observation, namely, political intolerance is basic to the modern mind, and it denies the validity of every other order than its dream state, and of all law and order alien to its own whims and will, because it regards all these orders as fearful lies. The Bible, on the other hand, extends a limited tolerance to other social orders. The only true order is founded on biblical law. All law is religious in nature, and every non-biblical law order represents an anti-Christian religion. But the key to remedying the situation is not revolution, nor any kind of resistance that works to subvert law and order. The New Testament abounds in warnings against disobedience and in summons to peace. The key is regeneration, propagation of the gospel, and the conversion of men and nations to God's law word. Meanwhile, the existing law order must be respected, and neighboring law orders must be respected as far as is possible without offense to one's own faith. The pagan law order represents the faith and religion of the people. It is better than anarchy, and it does provide a God-given framework of existence under which God's work can be furthered. The modern perspective leads to revolutionary intolerance, either a one-world order in terms of a dream, or, quote, perpetual warfare for perpetual peace, end quote. So seriously was the abuse of the oath regarded, that for a person to witness such an oath, or an oath to do evil uttered anywhere, and to take no action required a trespass offering of atonement. Leviticus 5, 1-7. Proverbs 29:24 in the Berkeley version reads, "The partner of a thief hates himself. He heard the curse, that is, pronounced on the thief, but says nothing." Delitzsch commented, quote, "The oath is, after Leviticus 5:1, that of the judge who adjured the partner of the thief by God to tell the truth, but he conceals it and burdens his soul with a crime worthy of death. For from a concealer he becomes, in addition, a perjured man." End quote. More serious than the act of stealing or of murder even is the false oath. Theft robs a single man, and murder takes the life of a single man, or perhaps a group of men. But a false oath is an assault on the life of an entire society. The fact that its seriousness is lightly viewed is a good barometer to social degeneration. The godly hatred of false swearing is clearly reflected in Psalm 109, verses 17-19. The trifling use of the oath was forbidden by Christ in Matthew 5:33-37, whose words had a partial reference to Numbers 30, verse 7. False swearing was already banned in the law. Christ made it clear that the oath or vow was not to be used for private purposes, except on such serious occasions as the lawful intended use allowed. The cheap recourse to vows, to prop up one's word, however true, was forbidden. The godly man's communication is yea, yea, and nay, nay. It is honest and forthright. Matthew 5:37. The godly man swears or testifies honestly to his own hurt, and he does not change his witness to suit his interests. Psalm 15, verse 4. Being under God, the godly man's word is in a sense always under oath. As Ingram has observed, quote, "It is significant that under some European Christian systems, a willful violation of a promissory oath is treated as perjury." End quote. Ingram has very rightly stressed the relationship of heresy to this commandment. Members and clergymen who deny their baptismal and ordination vows to affirm heresy are violating their oaths. Moreover, the heretic, quote, "in all the horror of raging pride, declares it is right for me to be wrong." End quote. Today, in many countries and in some American states, the name of God is removed from oaths of office and from the swearing in of witnesses. This means that when a man is sworn into office, he is not bound by God to fulfill the constitutional requirements of the office or the law. The man solemnly swears by himself. If it is agreeable to him to alter the law, if he regards his own ideas as superior, then he can move to circumvent the law. The major changes in the American Constitution have occurred over a period of time when no fundamental changes have been made in the U.S. Constitution. The reason is that the letter and the spirit of the law now have very little meaning as against the political wills of men and parties. If a witness is asked to swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth without any reference to God, truth then can be, and is commonly, redefined in terms of himself. The oath in God's name is the, quote, legal recognition of God, end quote, as the source of all things, and the only true ground of all being. It establishes the state under God and under His law. The removal of God from oaths and the light and dishonest use of oaths is a declaration of independence from Him, and it is warfare against God in the name of the new gods, apostate man, and his totalitarian state. The modern American oath, which omits all reference to God, is set in the context of a pragmatic philosophy, a faith taught in the schools and upheld by the state and federal governments. Truth in terms of pragmatism is what works. The consequence can only be revolutionary anarchy. It means not only warfare against God, but warfare by every man against his neighbor.